Single dad agreed to a contract marriage with a cold CEO, but she cried when he asked to leave. The rain poured like sorrow from the sky that morning, blurring the windshield of Daniel's rusted-out minivan as he pulled into the driveway of the glass and steel corporate mansion. His 7-year-old daughter, Lily, clutched her threadbare bunny plush in the back seat, eyes wide with worry. "Are you sure about this, Daddy?" she asked, voice trembling. He smiled at her through the rearview mirror, his heart aching. "It's just for a little while, sweetheart. It's going to help us." Daniel Whitmore was not the kind of man who ever imagined marrying for anything other than love. A former high school teacher turned barista after tragedy struck, his life had been a slow-burning fire of quiet sacrifice since his wife passed away 3 years ago. Lily had been his entire world ever since, his compass, his laughter, his reason. When the opportunity for a contract marriage came knocking, he'd almost walked away. But medical bills were piling up, the landlord was growing impatient, and Lily's asthma treatments weren't cheap. Across town, Emery Langford stared out the window of her high-rise office, arms folded, jaw tense. At 32, she had built one of the most formidable tech companies in the country, her reputation wrapped in steel just like her heart. Cold. Calculated. Untouchable. That's what the media called her. And she let them. Emotions were a liability. Love was a distraction. But that morning, her board had issued an ultimatum: humanize her image or risk losing key investors. A marriage would soften her persona. A child? Even better. Their worlds collided with the efficiency of a legal contract and the discomfort of strangers in the same elevator. The terms were clear: 6 months, public appearances, no expectations of intimacy or emotional entanglement. Daniel would receive financial support for Lily, and Emery would receive the illusion of a family. Simple. Clean. Efficient. Except nothing about Lily was simple. The little girl shattered walls with innocence alone. She called Emery Miss E at first, then just E, and eventually, without asking, Mommy E. She painted on Emery's glass walls with washable markers and left sticky notes that said, "You're pretty when you smile," on the CEO's laptop. She climbed into Emery's bed during thunderstorms, fearless and full of stories. Emery didn't know how to respond, at first stiff and startled by the mess of emotion and joy that came with children. But something in her cracked, quietly. Daniel watched it happen with guarded awe. He kept his distance, honoring the contract, staying out of her way in the mansion they temporarily shared. But he noticed the little things. How she tucked Lily's hair behind her ear during breakfast. How she paused her endless video calls to attend the school's art show. How she began keeping a pair of Lily's sneakers in her office, just in case. Weeks turned to months, and somewhere between board meetings and bedtime stories, the contract began to blur. Emery found herself looking for Daniel in the kitchen late at night, under the pretense of needing tea. They talked in whispers about books, grief, and how impossible it was to raise a child alone. He made her laugh. She made him think. Still, Daniel reminded himself of the deal. This wasn't love. This was temporary. Then, the turning point came quietly, on a Saturday. Lily had been sick all night. Emery had cradled her in the crook of her arm while Daniel prepared warm compresses. At dawn, when the fever finally broke, Emery whispered, "I was scared," more to herself than anyone. Daniel, eyes full of something deeper than gratitude, touched her hand. "You weren't alone." The contract ended 2 weeks later. Daniel stood in the marble foyer, suitcase in hand, heart heavy with things he couldn't say. "You've done enough," he told her gently. "I'll be forever grateful. But it's time we go back to real life." Emery nodded. She was the picture of composure, like always, face unreadable, hands behind her back. "Of course," she said. That was the agreement. But as Daniel turned to call Lily, Emery's voice broke. "Don't go." The words hung in the air like broken glass, sharp and glinting. Daniel turned. She wasn't composed anymore. Her shoulders trembled. Her eyes shone. "Don't go," she repeated, a whisper now. "I thought I knew what this was. I thought I was doing you a favor. But you both, gave me something I didn't know I was missing." Daniel stared at her, stunned. "Emery. I love her," she said. "And I think I'm starting to love you too. I know that wasn't part of the deal. I know I don't deserve either of you. But please, let me try. Stay. Not because of a contract. Stay because you want to." Lily peeked out from the hallway, holding her bunny. "Are we staying, Daddy?" There are moments in life when everything becomes still, where time holds its breath, waiting. Daniel knelt beside his daughter, brushed a tear from her cheek, and looked back at Emery, her mask finally shattered. "Yes," he said. "I think we are." In the months that followed, no one needed contracts. Emery learned to burn pancakes on Sunday mornings. Daniel taught her how to dance in the living room. Lily called her Mom without hesitation. Their home filled with laughter, chaos, and warmth. The cold CEO, once known for her ruthlessness, was now known by neighbors as the woman who built the neighborhood's first community garden, and for her unmistakable smile when walking hand in hand with her family. One day, while Emery tucked Lily into bed, the little girl asked, "What does real family mean?" Emery kissed her forehead and answered, "It means choosing to love someone every single day, no matter what. And being chosen back. Love isn't always born from fairy tales. Sometimes, it's written in the spaces between pain and healing, in the courage to stay when it's easier to walk away, in the decision to open your heart when everything taught you to keep it closed." And in that imperfect mansion, with three hearts learning to beat together, love became real, not because it was planned, but because it was felt. Because sometimes, the most beautiful things in life begin with a contract, and end in forever.